Esteemed guests, survivors, families, friends, so many familiar faces in the audience today. It's with a heavy heart, yet with a profound sense of community and shared purpose that we gather here today in Carmel. I am Rabbi Benjamin Sendro of Congregation Shaarei Tefillah in Carmel, and I extend to each and every one of you a heartfelt welcome to this solemn and vital Holocaust Remembrance Ceremony for the year 2025. In these moments, the ordinary rhythms of our lives pause, and we turn our collective attention to a period in human history that demands our unwavering remembrance. We gather not merely to recall the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, but to ensure that the lessons etched in the memories of those who endured it are never forgotten. We are here at this time and in this place to honor the 6 million souls, Jewish souls, and countless others who were systematically persecuted and murdered. This ceremony serves as a crucial reminder of the fragility of humanity when confronted with hatred and intolerance. It is an opportunity to reflect on the consequences of indifference and the paramount importance of vigilance in the face of prejudice. We are here to reaffirm our commitment to never again allow such atrocities to occur. Later in our program today, I'll have the distinct honor of offering a more formal introduction to the proceedings and the individuals who will guide us through this important commemoration. For now, let us take these initial moments simply to be present, to connect with the gravity of this occasion, and to open our hearts and minds to the testimonies, reflections, and prayers that will follow. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Carmel PD for being here. Your presence underscores the enduring power of remembrance and our collective dedication to building a future rooted in understanding, respect, and peace. At this time, I would like to call on my colleague and my friend, Rabbi Justin Kerber from Congregation Beth Shalom, to help us begin this solemn act of remembrance together.
In 1790, Moses Zachus, who was sexton of the Hebrew congregation of Newport, Rhode Island, wrote to welcome recently elected President George Washington. Deprived as we have hitherto been of the invaluable rights of free citizens, Moses Zachus wrote, we now, with a deep sense of gratitude to the Almighty, behold a government elected by the majesty of the people, a government which to bigotry gives no sanction, to persecution no assistance. Washington replied, borrowing some of Zachus's words, the citizens of the United States of America have a right to applaud themselves for having given to mankind examples of an enlarged and liberal policy, a policy worthy of imitation, Washington wrote. All possess alike liberty of conscience and immunities of citizenship. It is now no more that toleration is spoken of, as if it was by the indulgence of one class of people that another enjoyed the exercise of their inherent natural rights. For happily, the government of these United States, which gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance, requires only that they who live under its protection should demean themselves as good citizens in giving it, on all occasions, their effectual support. On this Holocaust Remembrance Day, let us pray that our city, our state, our United States should live up to Washington's vision. Heaven grant us the strength and courage to meet this moment as free Americans. As it says in this week's Torah portion, today the Lord shall appear to you. Not tomorrow, not next week, not maybe sometime soon, but today. Give us recognition that now, today, is the time to defend equal justice under law, so that the blessings of liberty, life, and the chance to pursue happiness may long abide in our land, and throughout the world. May we fulfill Washington's vision of a government that truly authorizes no bigotry, assists in no persecution. We remember what happened in the Holocaust when a powerful nation surrendered to its basest impulses. Let us remember, too, that 59 Israelis, 24 still believed to be alive, remain enslaved in Gaza. May the memory of the 6 million be both a blessing and a warning, and may peace prevail on earth. Amen.
Following that powerful invocation, a call for remembrance, pardon me, a call for remembrance echoes in our hearts. We now turn to a young voice from our own Carmel community, representing the promise of our future. Please join me in welcoming Sadie Cohen. Sadie is not only a talented sophomore at Carmel High, but she also proudly holds the title of Miss Cardinals Teen 2025, as you can see by the sash she is wearing. Today, Sadie will share her beautiful voice with us, offering a powerful expression of unity and pride through the performance of both the Israeli national anthem of Hatikva, the Hope, and our own American national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, an eternal symbol of liberty. Sadie, we are so grateful that you are here to lend your voice to this solemn occasion. Will you all please rise?
Kol od halevav penima, nefesh Yehudi omiya, ulfatei mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia, gol avda tikvateinu, Hatikva bat shnot apayim, liotam choshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim, liotam choshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Sadie. It was lovely. It would, at this time, like to extend essentially an expression of regret from our mayor, Mayor Finkham, who is not able to be with us today, but she did record a message for us. So we will now hear a message from our mayor.
The faces of Holocaust survivors tell stories words cannot fully capture. Their resilience, their pain, and their hope shine through in each photograph, each testimony. They ask us to do something simple, yet something of enduring significance, to keep their stories alive. But keeping memories alive falls short of our full moral duty. Recalling and sharing their pain isn't enough. We also need to take action. 6 million Jewish men, women, and children perished, along with millions of others targeted for their identity, beliefs, or resistance. As survivors dwindle in number, our responsibility to carry their testimony grows. Their stories remind us that the Holocaust didn't begin with gas chambers. It began with words, with propaganda, with the dehumanization of fellow human beings. The Holocaust teaches us that silence in the face of hatred is complicity. When we witness anti-Semitism, racism, or any form of bigotry in our communities, our workplaces, or our online spaces, we must speak out. We cannot afford the luxury of looking away or remaining silent. In recent years, we've seen a troubling rise in anti-Semitism and hate crimes worldwide. Holocaust denial persists despite overwhelming evidence. Extremist ideologies find new platforms and audiences. This is why our commitment to truth and justice cannot waver. Taking action means educating ourselves and others about the Holocaust's history and lessons. It means supporting Holocaust education in our schools. It means challenging hateful rhetoric whenever we encounter it. Let us honor the memory of those lost by building a world worthy of their memory. A world where never again is not just a phrase, but a promise we keep through our daily actions. Let us have the courage to stand against hate in all its forms, to protect the vulnerable, and to uphold human dignity at all costs. The memory of the Holocaust calls us not just to remember the past, but to take responsibility for the future. Today, we renew that sacred obligation. Thank you for allowing me to join you in this way. Please know I am with you all in spirit. Be well.
I'm grateful to Mayor Finkham for her remarks today. Her ongoing dedication and tireless work on behalf of the city of Carmel are truly commendable. Her outreach to the Jewish community has been remarkable. And we want to express our sincere thanks for all she does to make Carmel a wonderful place to live and work. We're grateful for her leadership and commitment to our community. As we consider the steps we can take toward that sacred obligation, building on the themes of remembrance and the fight against prejudice we have already heard, it's now my honor to introduce Graham Honaker, the co-author of A Blessing, Not a Burden, My Parents' Remarkable Holocaust Story, and My Fight to Keep Their Legacy Alive. Along with his co-author, Dr. Alex Kaur, he tells the story of Alex's life, the son of two Holocaust survivors who narrowly escaped death. Alex grew up here in Indiana, a state with Midwestern charm and an undeniable history of prejudice, a history that underscores the importance of our gathering today in Carmel. In A Blessing, Not a Burden, Graham co-authors Alex's story, detailing his incredible journey from his unique upbringing to his present-day mission of carrying on his parents' inspiring legacy. From his mother's controversial stance on forgiving the Nazis to his father's unbridled optimism, Alex offers life lessons that have helped him overcome his own hardships along the way. The Kaur family's story, beautifully told by Graham, stands as a living memorial to the belief that the human spirit can overcome even the darkest of circumstances, a testament to the resilience we remember today. The author of two other titles, Graham serves as Associate Athletic Director for Development and NIL Strategy at Butler University. He's worked on various campaigns at Butler, including the campaign for Hinkle Fieldhouse and the Butler Beyond campaign, the largest campaign in university history. He is an active member of Toastmasters International, the Robert Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership, and the Indianapolis Kiwanis Club. He holds an undergraduate degree from Wake Forest University and a master's degree from Indiana University. Please join me as we welcome Graham Honaker.
Well, good afternoon. This is a tremendous honor to be here with you today. I've got very big shoes to fill. Dr. Alex Kaur was to be your keynote speaker today, but Alex is speaking at Earlham College this afternoon, and I'll do my very best to set the very high standard that Alex represents. As many have mentioned to me over the last year, they've asked, what has your connection been to the Holocaust? I'm not Jewish. I'm not the son of Holocaust survivors, nor the grandson of Holocaust survivors. I'm an associate athletic director at Butler. My connection goes back to these deep roots with Alex. We met about 12 years ago, and our friendship has really grown over that decade plus. And as our friendship has grown, so has our work to honor the remarkable lives of his parents, Eva and Mickey Kaur. We collaborated on a scholarship at Butler University where we brought Eva Kaur to speak as our commencement speaker back in 2015, and I'd highly encourage you, if you're looking for inspiration, to look up that speech as she spoke to 1,000 of our graduates about her incredible journey. We worked on a scholarship for his father at Purdue, who was a proud Purdue pharmacy graduate and probably the biggest Purdue fan that you could ever meet. We worked with our good friend, Ted Green, on his award-winning documentary, Eva, A-7063. And nearly a year ago, our book, A Blessing, Not a Burden, My Parents' Remarkable Holocaust Story and My Fight to Keep Their Legacy Alive, came out. I'm pleased to say the book is now in its third printing. I'm grateful to my mother for buying so many copies to make that happen. As mentioned, the book chronicles the incredible journey of the Core family who came to Terre Haute, Indiana, and became very, very proud Hoosiers. And over this past year, Alex and I have been all over this country and even abroad lecturing about our book. Last summer, I made my first trip to Auschwitz, which was a life-changing experience and one that I could not possibly have prepared for. This journey with Alex has been one of the great experiences of my life. We've, again, spoken all over, been present with so many amazing audiences, including this one. But my joy has been tempered. My joy has been tempered by how, unfortunately, untimely this project is. It's been more than 80 years now since the Auschwitz concentration camp was liberated, and yet anti-Semitism continues to be a scourge in our society. The year 2024 was a peak year for anti-Semitism, with a 340%, I'm going to pause and read that again, 340% increase in total anti-Semitic incidents worldwide compared to 2022. This is according to a report published by the World Zionist Organization and the Jewish Agency for Israel. Compared to 2023, the number of anti-Semitic incidents nearly doubled. The trends have been equally concerning across the world. In France, there was an increase of over 350% in anti-Semitic incidents, with 28% involving violence. In the United Kingdom, there was a 450% increase in anti-Semitic incidents, with nearly 2,000 incidents in the first half of 2024 alone. Unfortunately, we've seen acts of anti-Semitism close to home. In 2018, a Nazi flag and other symbols were spray-painted on a brick wall at the congregation Shari Tefillah here in Carmel. In 2024, a Star of David and swastika were stomped into the snow at a family's home here in Carmel, Indiana. If we were to drive 2 hours south, we'd be in Paoli, Indiana. Many of you have been to Paoli, but many of you may not know one of the country's biggest Holocaust deniers lives there. And he was one of the leaders of the 2017 white supremacist rally in Charlottesville. Just a couple of years ago, we had a state legislator who brought a bill forward to teach the Holocaust in a neutral manner in Indiana. Fortunately, that was pulled. While these incidents and continued attacks on Israel are indeed sobering and depressing, I'd like to focus on the positive and point out how many people are fighting to combat anti-Semitism. I'd like to applaud Mayor Finkham, who immediately condemned the 2024 incident regarding the swastika being etched into the snow here in Carmel. And I'd like to read her words. "This hateful display has no place in our city and will not be tolerated. Carmel is a welcoming community, and together we stand in solidarity against all forms of bigotry and hate. The world needs more Mayor Finkhams." I'd like to point out my good friend Ted Green, who, though his documentary came out almost 7 years ago, is still being shown nationwide and is continually being used as a tool to educate people of all ages about the Holocaust. The world needs more Ted Greens. I'd like to cite my good friend Dr. John Abrams, who I dedicated this book to. John's one of my all-time heroes. Don't get a big head when I tell you that, but who does so much for the Jewish community in fighting anti-Semitism. The world needs more John Abrams. I'd like to cite my friends Todd and Linda Maurer, who annually fund a trip taking young people to concentration camps in Europe. The world needs more Todd and Linda Mowers. I'd like to cite my good friend Alex Core. Now, Alex lives just a few blocks away from here, but you probably haven't seen him much this past year. He's literally been all over this country, abroad, sharing the messages of his parents, his mother's forgiveness and his father's courage. He doesn't need to do that. He's a busy guy, he's a podiatrist. He's chosen to keep that voice for his parents, chosen to be out there. The world needs more Alex Cores. I'd like to recognize the Candles Holocaust Museum, and I see here Colleen here in the back. I don't know if I see Amy, if Amy's here. One of the great legacies of the Core family was building the Candles Holocaust Museum 30 years ago in Terre Haute, Indiana. Think about all the things the Core family stood for. The almost impossibility of a Holocaust museum existing for 30 years in Terre Haute, Indiana. More than 30,000 people have now gone through that museum, many of them young people, to learn and to never forget about the atrocities of the Holocaust. You may not know, and this is a chapter in our book, that in 2003, that museum was burned to the ground by white supremacists. The following morning, when Eva Core was asked, "What are you going to do?" she said, "We're going to rebuild immediately." And that museum has now stood for 22 years since. The world needs more Candles Holocaust museums. Last summer, Alex and I lectured at the Latvian Holocaust Museum. Alex's father, Mickey, and his family were from Latvia. It was one of the great experiences of my life, a true honor. And at the end of our talk, we had noticed a woman sitting about halfway up in the audience who was really intently looking at us during the entire lecture. And she came up afterwards and she handed Alex a bouquet of flowers. And she said, "I hope on behalf of the Latvian people, you'll forgive me and forgive our country because we didn't protect your father and his family." While certainly Alex's father, Mickey, survived, his parents did not. The Core family lost nearly 180 people between Eva and Mickey in the Holocaust. She asked Alex if he would forgive her for the Latvian people not doing their duty in protecting. And of course, if you know Alex, he did. And then we all broke down into tears. The world needs more humans like this lady. Going back to why am I up here today? One tie I do have is to the Holocaust. My wife Sarah is here today, and she has been such a great supporter of me on this journey. I travel a lot for my work at Butler, and I've traveled a lot for this book tour. And I've been on the road a lot, and she's encouraged me to do so, which I think is a sign that she thinks this work is important, not something else, that she wants me out of this house. But her father was one of my heroes, Hans Morsbach. He's no longer with us, but Hans was born in 1932 in Nazi Germany. He was required to be a Hitler Youth, like all boys of that time were. Following the war, Hans's parents wanted out of Germany, and they moved to the United States. But Hans never forgot that experience. He became a very successful entrepreneur in Chicago, but he also dedicated decades to fighting hate, fighting bigotry, fighting racism, fighting anti-Semitism. And in a way, I hope this book pays tribute to his life. But my point, again, in referencing Hans, is that we all have a tie to the past. Tie to the good part of history, tie to the bad part of history. So again, I'm speaking to you while I have many, many good friends who are Jewish. I'm not Jewish, but I still have a tie to that past. But it's what are we doing today? What are we doing in the present to make a difference and to pave the way for a better future. Not too long ago, a good friend of mine and Alex's, who is Jewish, asked me why I'm involved in these initiatives, given that I'm not Jewish. And I hadn't really thought about that question very much. It just seems to me that we all should be involved in fighting against the injustices of this world. Sorry, I'm a little bit emotional here. As I conclude, I'd like to encourage you, no matter what your faith is, no matter what your ties are to the past, to do all we can to fight hatred, to fight injustice, to fight anti-Semitism, and to never forget the atrocities of the Holocaust. The world needs all of us to do our part. Thank you. It's a real honor to be here with you today.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your thoughts and words with us today. They've enriched our understanding and provided us with much to reflect upon. We're truly grateful for your presence and your contribution to our gathering. And to alleviate any concerns that you may have, the next time I see Alex, I'm going to tell him you hit it out of the park in his name. So deviating for a moment from the prepared script, speaking of the next time I will see Alex, my congregation, Shari Tefillah, on the fourth Friday of every month, we have what's called the Fourth Friday Forum, where a guest speaker comes in and gives the sermon instead of me. And tomorrow night, that speaker will be Alex Kor. So if you're not doing anything, you'd like to join us, Jewish or not, we're on West 116th Street. The service starts at 6:30, and Dr. Kor will be speaking during the course of the service. Now, following Mr. Honecker's powerful words, reminding us of the persistent threat of hatred and the vital importance of remembrance, we now turn to a central ritual of this ceremony, the lighting of the memorial candles. The soft glow of these candles serve as a potent symbol, connecting us to the individual lives lost and the enduring spirit of those who did survive. Each flicker represents a story, a memory, a world that was unjustly taken. As we gaze upon these lights, let us internalize the lessons shared, recommitting ourselves to a vigilance against prejudice and to the active pursuit of a more just and compassionate world here in Carmel and beyond. These flames are a testament to resilience. And now, to further illuminate our reflections, through the unifying power of music, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce an incredibly talented group of young people, the choir joining us from University High School, our next door neighbors, on West 116th Street. They will now share a song that speaks to the enduring bonds of friendship and hope for peace. Shalom Chaverim, peace, friends. Thank you to the University High School Choir. That beautiful rendition of Shalom Chaverim reminds us of the importance of community and connection in the face of loss. At this time, we now turn to another powerful expression of our shared humanity and hope. It's my task now to introduce a colleague and friend, and I will introduce her using her official title. But I think she'd be just as happy, maybe even happier today, if I said I'm about to call on Sadie's mom. Sadie's mom is Cantor Melissa Cohen, and she will lead us in Psalm 23.
Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, bihinut deshe yarbitzeini, al memenukot yanaleini, nafshi shuvev, nafshi shuvev, yanchini b'mahalot למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ידע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, דשנת בשמן ראשי, דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב בחסד ירדיפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
This time, as our ceremony comes to its conclusion, I call once again on my friend and colleague, Rabbi Justin Kerber, who will lead us in Mourner's Kaddish and a closing benediction.
May the love and eternal connection of our souls give us strength as we turn to recite these words, hallowed by time. Sanctifying the name of God, we honor the memory of the 6 million martyrs, especially those who have none but us to say the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. If it is your custom, or if you wish to do so, I invite you to rise to your feet or lift your spirits at this time. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei rabba mivarach la'alam ula'almei almaya. Yit barach ve'yish tabach ve'yit pa'ar ve'yit romam ve'yit naseh ve'yit hadar ve'yit ale ve'yit halal shemei dekudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. May the Holy One who makes peace in the high heavens So establish peace upon Israel and upon all who dwell on earth. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. Our closing benediction today is the very same that George Washington gave in 1790 to Moses Zachus and the Hebrew congregation of Newport, Rhode Island, and in effect given to every American ever since, including me and you. May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while everyone shall sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. May the Father of all mercies scatter light and not darkness in our path. Make us all in our several vocations useful here, and in his own due time and way, everlastingly happy. So may it be God's will and ours. And let us say, Amen.
Before we leave here today, a word of thanks to all of you. Your presence here today is a statement, an important statement, that you care about the state of the world, that you care about relationships between peoples, that you love peace and pursue peace. We must make these sorts of statements every day. But I have a special message with which I'd like to finish, and it's for the young people here today. Although I know you can't imagine it, because I couldn't when I was your age, but someday you're going to be my age. It's practically inevitable. When you are, there will be no more survivors of the Holocaust left alive. And there will be fewer of the second generation who told their parents' stories. The time will come when it will be your responsibility to tell the tale, because you will be the world's closest connection to the Holocaust, having heard about it directly from survivors and children of survivors. That is an awesome burden. But every one of you are capable of shouldering it. Please know how much the rest of us are counting on you to continue to tell the tale after the rest of us are gone. And with that, my friends, again, thank you for coming. Thank you to the City of Carmel and Mayor Finkham for continuing this wonderful tradition of honoring the victims of the Holocaust every April. I hope to see you again next year. Be well, be safe. Thank you to the. Thank you to the Carmel United Methodist Church Bell Choir for making this service even more beautiful through their music. Once again, thank you all for coming. Let's end with the words that we heard from the University High School Choir. Shalom chaverim, lehitraot. Peace, my friends. We'll see one another again.